Call this meeting of the Reno City Council to order at Monday evening, December the 8th at 6:02 p.m. If you'll all rise, we'll have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Shall we pray? Father, we thank you for the gift of life and the blessings that are ours. And dear Lord, we ask that you just lead and guide in all that is said and done here tonight. We do pray for our country tonight. We pray, Lord, for our national and our state elected officials. We pray you give them wisdom, help them to look to you for guidance, for knowledge. And Lord, we do pray that you lead and guide this meeting this evening. Help us to do those things that are beneficial to our fellow citizens, to our community as a whole, and help us to do those things that will be pleasing in thy sight. We pray that you forgive us of our sins wherein we failed you, for we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Madam Secretary, will you call the roll?
Joey McCarthy.
Here.
Brandon Thomas.
Here.
Walter Cooper.
Here.
Amanda Willows.
Here.
Let the record show Mayor Hoover absent. Also present, Mayor Pro Tem Rick Jordan, City Attorney David Hamilton, and City Secretary Kara Hubbard taking the minutes.
Thank you, Kara. Item 6, do we have one sign up there? Jerry, or Chief? No one signed up then? No citizens? Sir?
Not standing.
Okay. Item 7, discussion on, well, let's do, I thought we had we did first.
It's a discussion only. This is discussion, take action, but you can move down and do it.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead. Item 7, clarification, modification on City Council rules of order and procedure. You have the brochure, City of Reno, rules of order and procedure, and any comments? I trust and hope you've had a chance to look them over.
I read them over. Everything looked good to me.
Everything looks good? Okay. Amanda?
When last we met, this was on the council agenda, and there was some discussion then of the agenda rule for posting, for getting it in like Wednesday.
Yes. And
it's not contained in here. And then after that, there was kind of a mixture of things, and there was not a directive given. So if that is still an issue that the council wants addressed, if somebody will just tell me that, like right now, to draw some language up so you can approve or disapprove of that, I will do it. As I understood, that was the only issue from the last time.
As I remember, that's correct.
And it's still not, I mean...
It's not in.
Yeah, it's not in there.
There was no directive on the motion last time. It was talked about, and the attorney stated if somebody would make a directive or do, and then nobody did anything. So when you listen to the tape, yeah.
So, by your silence, am I to understand?
Would you put that in there, please?
I can draft some language and email it to everybody that says here's the agenda policy for getting it in, and then we can look at it and maybe have it fleshed out by the next time.
Okay. Let me just say the agenda policy currently is noon Wednesday, the deadline.
Okay.
So, are you talking about drafting that language, and if if that's acceptable, we can adopt it next month at the meeting?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Excuse me. Or is there do we have any other dates in mind as far as time frame from part of anybody on council for that agenda deadline?
Next meeting's fine.
Yeah. Just an idea here, suggestion. What if we did it on the Monday, on the first Monday of the month by noon? That's a week before council.
That's too, no. I mean, that's too early. I mean, what if something comes up during that week? Is there a problem with Wednesdays now?
City Secretary.
The problem is getting all the information and get it to the attorney for approval, the attorney getting back to the mayor, to everybody approved, to finally have it done, to get the copies made to get it out. Because we're still doing it on Friday. We're still going back and forth with trying to get it, and him researching, he only has 2 days to do it. There's other cities that are 2 weeks out, but they have to have it ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, and then others week if there's an emergency, but that's just to get information gathered that people want. But
I mean, if we do the Wednesday, people still have until Wednesday to get it in, whether it's 2 weeks out or not. I mean, you still got a month to get it in from meeting to meeting. And Wednesday's just the deadline to get it in.
yeah, the sooner the better. The sooner we can get any items in, that's great. So I mean, I'm fine with the Wednesday deadline. That's fine.
Wednesday noon, it just makes it kind of a rush situation sometimes.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Well, I can draft the language, and it's up to the council to decide, do you want the cutoff date to be Monday or Wednesday, or when do you want it? I mean, that's a pretty easy fix. That's just changing a word. So I'll draft something and send it around to everybody so you can look at it.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. Item 8, discuss take action on 8, health, dental, and vision insurance for calendar year 2015. We're fortunate to have Rudy Kessel with Norman Landers with us this evening. Rudy, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
Everyone should have a blue folder in that packet, and it has a little bit of a summary on health insurance. Did not have very good news at renewal for you guys with the current carrier. Currently, you guys have an Affordable Care Act compliant gold plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield. The current premium for employee only is $4,562.61. That premium is increasing to $5,179.58, a 13.52% increase on those rates. Blue Cross does have some other options that are listed here. A couple of other carriers have plan options that were quite a bit higher than Blue Cross. There is an option through TML to have one of their plans that's through their risk pool that has a premium of $4,169.60, which is a reduction of 8.61% over the current premium, 19.5% reduction over the renewal premium. The next page shows kind of an outline of the benefits. It's still $1,000 deductible, saying that's what you currently have. The family deductible is $2,000 as opposed to $3,000 on the current Blue Cross plan. The out-of-pocket maximum, including the deductible, currently is $3,900. That would go up a little bit to $4,500 per individual. After that, 100% coverage takes place. The current plan is with Blue Cross and uses their network. Blue Cross does have the largest network in Texas. The TML plan will use the United Healthcare Choice Plus network. Still a very good network. For the Paris area, the Blue Cross network has about 183 providers in it. The United Healthcare network has about 172 providers in it, so very broad, just a few doctors are different. Co-payments, it'll be a $20 co-payment for a family doc or specialist. Minor lab work and x-ray and major lab work and x-ray will still be deductible. Prescriptions, you guys would have the option for a $0 co-payment for preferred generics on the new plan. The TML plan has a little bit more restrictions on pharmacies. In the plan, Walmart will come online January 1st on the TML plan. You also will have access to CVS, Walgreens, and Brookshire's. I believe the TML plan provides a very good option. There are some penalties built into TML if somebody doesn't pre-authorize a service ahead of time. The network is just a little bit more restrictive, and then pharmacy is a little bit more restrictive to where a couple of employees might have to do pharmacies if they have a small in-town pharmacy to maybe a chain. I think that those are little drawbacks. Premium savings are pretty substantial when you're talking about $12,000 a year for the city in savings.
Considerable savings, Rudy. Might add that the United Healthcare Network is a broad network in Dallas, Fort Worth. Any doctor
Absolutely.
in the Metroplex area that you might want to go to.
Second best network next to Blue Cross.
That's right. Now, the pre-certification is incumbent upon the currently Blue Cross, the provider, basically. With TML, United Healthcare.
Yes. You still have to use the provider. There's penalties built in though that are pretty substantial.
Yeah.
If there's a plan change made to TML, there would be a TML representative that would come up and coach everyone, having the training on the plans and what to do on the certification, on what is allowed pharmacy-wide, how to do the mail order with them if they want to, so that would all be taken care of through the training.
You have sort of like a enrollment seminar.
Yes.
Any questions?
I also have options on the next page on dental. Currently, the dental plan has a $1,000 maximum per calendar year. You can carry over some deductible towards the next year on that. There's a MetLife option shown that has a $1,250 calendar year benefit maximum. There's also a TML plan shown, which is what I would recommend to go to at about the same premium as what the current plan is, but it takes a calendar year maximum benefit from $1,000 to $2,000. With the TML plan, they do not have in-network dentists. They provide a usual and customary charge that any dentist can provide. That could be a little bit of balance billing from dentist to an individual, but I think since the benefit basically is doubling, that is very worthwhile. Currently, the person has a root canal that's $4,000. After the first $1,000, the insurance is capped out. Nothing else is paid unless they have a little bit of the deductible carryover. With the TML plan, it will pay up to $2,000 at about the same premium as what you're currently at. Vision plan is on the next page. We would recommend a block vision plan. There's two different options listed depending on how much is paid. The voluntary plan. The block plan has lower premiums and broader benefits than the current Emeritus plan. I can go into details on anything. I don't want to make y'all's meeting 2 hours long, so you guys need to tell me how much you want to talk about benefits and how much you guys want to talk about rates.
Does anyone have any questions of Rudy of the health plan? The difference in premium makes it kind of obvious.
I think Blue Cross is a better carrier. TML is relatively new to us, but it's something due to those premium savings that I think is worth exploring. There used to be some drawbacks to maybe having a pool type plan and going back to fully insured plans. That's not the case anymore with the new Affordable Care Act rules, so there's not really any drawbacks. Next year, there's some negative experience with the pool plan. You can just change back over to any company without any type of penalty.
Does anyone have any questions concerning the vision of the dental? Rudy, let me ask you on the vision.
Sure.
I can't remember your recommendation. It's a block vision. Yeah.
They're merging with security.
Yeah, which block vision? The gold
It's
125?
going to be a little bit better, just a little bit more costly. I think either one provides a savings and broader benefits. There's 5 in-network providers in Paris that are in the network. There's others outside of the Paris area, and it just provides a little bit broader benefit than the current plan.
So I think the platinum would be the one.
Yeah.
When I talked to the staff, most of them haven't had it, and I believe it is a substantial savings to what they're paying now. A lot better benefit.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? If not, Rudy, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, Rudy.
Appreciate you being here. All the work you've done on this. I know that it's time consuming. Thanks, sir. Okay. Discussion. Right. Anyone want to make a motion concerning this?
So is that something that we need to split up, the block vision?
It would be the motion, what the recommendation for with the TMLP 85-100-35 plan. Dental is TML Plan 3, and Vision is Block Vision Platinum 125.
So 3 different ones?
You can do it all in one motion, but they need to be spelled out, each one, which one's
Each plan.
approved.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we go with Norman Landers Insurance with, on the group health and dental insurance plan, TML P85-100-35. And for the group dental, the TML Plan 3. And for the group vision, go with the Block Vision Platinum 125. This is for the 2015 fiscal year.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Thomas for the TML P85-100-35 plan, health plan, the TML Plan 3 group dental, and the Block Vision Plan Platinum 125 group vision. We have a second.
A second.
Second by Councilmember Willis. Any discussion? If no discussion, then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. None opposed. Again, thank you, Rudy. Appreciate it. Item 8B, approval to purchase mini excavator for Public Works Department. Jerry.
We put together a pricing sheet and also financing options for 3 different places. Lamar National Bank, Government Capital Inc. above it. Lamar National Bank is the rate of interest in a 3-year term. and other questions.
This is the recommend the Kubota KX71. It has the cab.
Correct. That would be our recommendation.
$33,500.
And what the money we have in the budget as of right now, it would be financing $24,000 to pay the first payment.
10 grand?
Yeah.
Any council? Discussion? Questions?
So we're gonna finance 24,000? Why didn't we just do like 23.5 and put the full 10 towards it?
I don't know if the bank's gonna have any closing costs or if they'll leave anything else be in there, so I just did it to finance the 24 and then let it go.
What are you gonna have?
Well, yeah, I guess because you'd have interest and everything else.
We can always pay it off early, there wouldn't be a penalty. So if we decided to pay 2 payments of $10,000 the next 2 years and then pay the rest off in the third, we could, do that. This is just setting it.
Well, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the mini excavator for the Public Works Department in the amount of $33,500 from Paris Farm and Ranch.
We have a motion by Councilman McCarthy. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Cooper. Any other discussion?
That's financing through Lamar National Bank.
Yeah, we need to put that on
Put
there.
that in there. And with the financing through the Lamar National Bank for $24,000.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, none opposed. Item 8C, authorized budget amendment and pay for TCEQ fine. Jerry?
Okay. This is a fee that was assessed by TCEQ from last winter, which was December, the ice storm, December, January, and February. In January and February, we exceeded the limits on our ammonia nitrogen with a couple weeks in December, or January, and then 1 week in February, which is, we didn't know at the time whether we'd be fined or anything would be assessed. We had electrical issues from the ice storm. We were in contact with TCEQ at that time to make sure everything's going to be all right, but they said it could be a fine at a later date. They're a year behind or so getting those out or whatever, but I sat down with TCEQ, sent them all our costs to repair anything that happened at the plant during that time that was taken off of our fine. There's some good faith efforts for complying, and our history with them. They took off 20% of that. So what we wound up with was a $900 assessment fee.
This is in the packet. This page here shows what they took off. Jerry working with them.
With this, any finable range from TCEQ for a city of our size dealing with water and wastewater is from $0 to $25,000 for a one-time fee. Like I said, it started out a little over $3,000 and we got it knocked down to $900. So.
Was a lot of that just because the power went out? I mean, I don't know how this...
We had just, the power going out, generator kicking in and on, in and out of that plant. We knocked several different things out. We had a lot of electrical issues. We had a aerator go out during the ice storm, sludge pump that went out. And by the time we get everything repaired and that, it's cold weather, it gets the plant gets upset. It takes a little more time to work it out. So we worked as hard as we could to keep it to where it was and not get any more fines or any permit violations where it was. So overall, I felt like we did a pretty good job of keeping it.
Didn't we a few years ago have a TCEQ fine that we worked out doing some other kind of project? 2005?
No, it's been 5 years ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
He's saying 3
yeah.
back there, it's like 5 years
It's
ago.
fine.
And it was a month from falling off, and he went ahead and wrote that month off, because if you don't have a second one in 5 years, so the guy was good.
I think in the years past, we've had actually 3. I can remember 3 since I've been here, but it's been
Yeah, there's been several
5
through the years.
It's been 5
usually
years.
But didn't they let us do some kind of project
There was,
to,
wasn't there some oil or?
We did
yeah,
that.
the oil recycling
We're
deal.
still actually, that is still an ongoing project.
Can we not do another project?
Not for $900, they won't do.
Yeah, the last one was closer to, I think,
Good try.
Yeah,
I think it was more than that.
yeah, and that,
up cans, do it all.
you can't get to Austin and back for $900.
Yeah, they're like-
Really.
Well, good job on getting it, working with them and getting it down. And on getting your plant back up and running, so.
Yeah, it was back up and running pretty soon after that. It just took a little time, but you said it's the worst time of year for our plant to have any issues. It's
Yes.
below 30 degrees every day. It didn't work very well.
You know,
5 days at a time.
Is the emergency generator up to handling it right now?
Yes. Actually, the generator we put in there is, we upgraded it in 2008 or 9. And it was built for more capacity than it has now, so we're in good shape as far as the generator goes. It's just when you have electrical kicking on, kicking off, that generator kicking in, and they were constantly kicking the power back on out there, which is shutting the generator off, shutting the generator. And I think that had a lot to do with a lot of the small electrical issues we had as far as contactors and things going out, fuses, but it affected a couple things through the whole time of the ice storm.
Okay. Got any other questions of Jerry? If not, any discussion? Well, need a motion. Okay, this, since it's a budget amendment,
To authorize the budget.
authorized budget amendment.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we amend the budget and payment for the TCEQ fine in the amount of $900.
We have a motion by Councilman Thomas. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Willow. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Jerry, for all your hard work on this. Item 8D, contractor to perform building inspection for the city of Reno. Do you want to give some background on this?
That's what I was going to ask.
Briefing sheet.
We have a briefing sheet.
Yeah, the briefing
If you
sheet.
have questions.
I think the main problem that we're having is that the current inspector works at another city at a distance, and so then he does everything at nights or on weekends, and we're having a really hard time getting documentation back. And with this other, they are local, they can come out on their lunch hour. On Monday nights when I'm here until 6, they could come out when they're off work, and we can transfer, and they can drop off, and it's just,
Easier, better.
He works over 50 miles away.
and it's always after, and builders are wanting them to come out during the day.
Right.
You know, they're wanting to see them, and he's just not capable of doing that. He can't
Right.
offer that, and we're just not getting the information back like we.
Okay.
Do they not have a business name for their services?
The new have what going?
Business name.
Business name?
No,
Do they?
both of them, no. Both of them are either just
They're just individual.
Upton or Joey Sleeper and Robert Smith. There's also 2 of them, so if one's gone on vacation, there's somebody to back up where the other one He doesn't have anyone.
Well, I was looking at the motion on the briefing sheet, enter into a contract with only him. Should we list Robert Smith also, enter an agreement with him, or just the Joey Sleeper guy?
Because Joey just signed it with the name of the individual when they did the bid form, they put it as Joey and Robert. So that would be something.
So we're covered down the line on that?
I would think Robert Smith, Joey Sleeper and Robert Smith,
Yeah.
but only Joey signed.
I mean, it can,
They both came out when we met with them. They both
do we
came
need to
out.
enter
So
an agreement with Robert Smith?
They're employees of the city of Paris.
If you enter an agreement with Joe, you can get something drafted where he's got some guy, yeah.
I mean, would that be?
That's okay.
Their employment is in building inspections, in the city of Paris.
Yeah.
and the other one is in Greenville.
The current one's in Greenville.
We'd have to find out if it's just Joe. It would be something to go into agreement with both of them, but find out if we're just writing a check to him and he's doing it with the other guy, or we write two separate checks, or what we're gonna do.
As long as it, I just don't want us to get into an issue where we're into an agreement with Joey and not Robert, then Robert does one and it comes back, bad or something, just because we don't have an agreement on file with him.
With him too.
I say if they put both of their names on this, and this was their bid, then I say we go with both of their names.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, we have a motion.
Are we going to do the agreement with Mr. Smith as well, or?
I would, just do, we're gonna do
Both their
contract
names.
with Joey Sleeper and Robert Smith, just do both.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we enter into agreement for building inspections with Joey Sleeper and Robert Smith.
We have a motion by Councilman McCarthy. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cooper. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Item 7E, revised job description for Reno Police Department. Chief Birch.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, you'll see in the packet the revised job descriptions. I tried to make them as clear as I could. It was suggested by the mayor and city secretary to put the changes in bold and underlined text. And it's pretty straightforward. The only real difference between mine and the other officers is because I'm the chief of police, I have to act as the local rabies control authority under the health and safety code designated person. And all the rest of it's the same. Response to animal calls, enforcement chapter 2 is city code of ordinances, titled animal control, does whatever tools we have to capture humanely animals, domesticated or wild animals if we have to, livestock, respond to citizen complaints involving animal control and code enforcement. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot. I did add one thing that was in that doesn't really have anything to do with this. As far as animal control and code enforcement, under required education, degrees, certifications, and/or license, I put in there one line that says must have driving record and background acceptable for appointment as a peace officer in the state of Texas. I added that to all of our police officer job descriptions because that's obvious. I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because when I was going through them this time, I wanted to make sure that was, it was a little murky, so I just want to clear that up.
Are they going to have to be, as far as code enforcement, are they going to have to be trained for any of that?
I'm going to give them some training. A lot of that training you can find online. There's some stuff, more detailed, intricate stuff. If I can find a local class, sometimes Paris has code enforcement classes. That's something I'm just going to research and find out, if they're going to have something local.
Are you going to have anybody certified?
I haven't thought about it. If I want to actually certify somebody, I may wait a few months, see how it goes. After we get the 5th person hired, get them trained, get them acclimated, get a method of doing things going, and then seeing if I need to get somebody certified. What I envision now is cross-training all of us to a certain extent. Now, I wouldn't advocate sending all of us to code enforcement certification, because that'd be really expensive.
Yeah, you want to do.
It's a week.
You may start losing officers after that.
32-hour course. They're all out of town. It would get costly.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessary to train everybody, certify everybody like that. Most things we can do anyway.
Yeah.
I think basic awareness, what some code enforcement procedures would be that might be different than investigating a crime, things like that. Some basic information and knowledge on code enforcement would be good for everybody, and that's something I plan on doing pretty soon. As soon as I get everybody, or get the 5th person hired.
Yeah. I read somewhere, I don't know if it's your stuff, where you're going to educate the public, which, I mean, that's going to make it a whole lot better.
And that's a lot of it. A lot of it, you go tell somebody that, hey, you just can't leave a pile of brush laying around.
Yeah.
They didn't know. And you explain it to them, and they're okay with it, and they come up with a plan of fixing it and relating it. So it's not that difficult. Some people want to be horsey about it.
Oh, yeah.
Even so, they eventually kind of bend.
Mr. Attorney.
Hello.
You have a copy of the mayor's concerns that
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I've talked to the mayor on the phone when he was going out of town today, so he kind of filled me in on what the deal is. From his perspective. You probably did, but my staff didn't.
Let me send this to you.
Okay.
What is that?
Mayor's concerns on this item.
On the job description on this, or the animal control.
Okay, I've looked it over.
Okay. He has requested that we table this
I see that.
until the next meeting. The concerns he states there, what's your opinion in that wording?
We have wrestled with employment issues and policies for the 10 years that I've been out here. I don't know that it is humanly possible to write a document that's going to cover every incident that arises even in a city this size. And I hope that as we go through these things, people are kind of sort of understanding that you can't do it. It's not possible. You would come up with a document that's just 700-800 pages long, and it still wouldn't cover everything. Some of these, I've never been a big believer that police officers are going to pick up dead animals, and that's based on my own personal experience. I mean, if somebody told me to go pick up one, I'd go do it. But I don't think most of the police officers I know get all fired up to go pick up a dead cat. I mean, it's just not part of the job. So if that's an issue, then, and this is part of the description, I think there needs to be some clarification about, yeah, that's what you have to do. If that's the deal, if that's the quid pro quo, we're giving up the code enforcement officer, because we're going to hire a police officer, and we expect those police officers to go pick up the dead cat. If it's in town, then you do it. Or if it's a dead raccoon, or whatever it is, that's what you do. I think you're going to get some pushback from that. You asked me what I think, and that's what I'm telling you. I just don't think that's going to work. I think you're going to find that police officers do not want to do that. But that's not an issue for you. That's an issue for that guy standing right there.
Well, I counter that with, we go to civil matter calls, or get called about civil matters. I took 4 or 5 calls a day about the same civil matter over and over today. And each time I'd tell the guy, I'm not an attorney. There's nothing legally I can do for you. You need to call an attorney. You go talk to, you know, a judge, go talk to a judge, get some advice from him. Go talk to somebody that's not a police officer. Okay? We don't like those calls either. We still answer them. There's lots of things we don't like to do about our job. We still do them. We pick up dead animals. Even when the animal control officer was here, we were still doing it from time to time because they're not here 24 hours a day. We are most of the time.
But if there's some issues about the language and what needs to be done and it needs to be fixed, or it needs to be brought back up, then
I got it covered. I got that part of it covered. And if you look under the second item, it's bolded, line 4. Depending on how it came out on y'all's copy. It says pick up deceased animals on the side of city roadways and on state roadways when necessary. In other words, if it's in the middle of Highway 82 and it's blocking traffic, it's going to be a traffic hazard. We'll go out there and scoop it up. Any other time, we'll call text on it. Okay, neighborhoods, the city highways, city maintained roads, we'll pick it up. That's what we're doing now most of the time.
Yeah, drought. Yeah.
We're doing
That would cover the park and any city property.
You're having to cover all this after.
Why the park?
It's city-owned property. If we had a dead animal.
But it's not a city road. It's not on the city road.
So you wouldn't pick up any dead animal that had to do animal control. You wouldn't be.
Police department's not in charge of park maintenance.
But that would be animal control.
Park maintenance?
No, dead animals in the city. Park. In the city, it would be an animal. That wouldn't be park maintenance. That would be an animal control issue.
Okay. I mean, I would. It's not that big a deal. But if that's part of park maintenance, why wouldn't park maintenance fall under public park?
I don't think dead animals would be park maintenance. That'd be animal control.
No longer animals is dead. I think it's park maintenance.
If it's dead.
Yeah, that's what I think is park maintenance.
I think you just call Jerry and have him send one of the guys out in the truck with a shovel.
So who disposes
It's trash.
of the
It's
animals
trash.
in the right
I mean-
way? Oh, an animal's not trash. You
If
can't
we
dispose
pick
A
of
dead
it
animal, what is
like
it?
trash.
We pick up
You can't-
What's a dead animal?
You can't dispose of it like trash. There's proper ways to dispose of dead animals. You can't just throw them in the trash can.
Okay.
Well, this highlights what I said a while ago.
It does.
The citizens really don't care
That's
if it's
right.
a park problem or a police problem
Right.
or a city code enforcement
If we-
problem.
yeah.
All they see is 3 or 4 city guys standing around out there one point to the other,
Right.
and the thing is
And-
still dead out there, or whatever it is. That's what they see, and we get to have these intellectual debates about
over who's gonna do it.
job it might be
Yes.
to pick up the dead
It's
raccoon.
the same thing. It's the same thing as we go to a call on a part of Reno that's half Reno, half Paris, half Lamar County. Okay, I've told all my guys, don't sit there in front of the citizen and argue about it. Take the report. Let me handle it. If it's supposed to go to Paris, we'll send it to Paris. If it's supposed to go to, if it's ours, we'll suck it up and take it. Take the stinking report. Don't sit there and argue in front of everybody about doing it. Go do it. If we get called to a dead animal in the park, we'll take care of it. That's what I really saying.
The mayor requesting that this item be tabled has to do with item 8E. Also,
Adam what?
Oh, it's just the item on the agenda.
the item on the agenda.
I know. I confused me.
As far as the revised job descriptions for the police.
Matt, on after hours and on weekends, the police department picks up dead animals anyway. So you're only looking at 8 to 5.
Right.
So
And lately, it's been near the sergeant. So the way I look at it is, if I don't have a problem with it, my lower guys under me shouldn't have a problem.
That's what I agree with.
if they don't have a problem with it from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock next morning or from Friday at 5 till Monday,
Right.
they shouldn't have a problem with it from 8 to 5.
Gentry had to go pick up a deer the other day that landed in somebody's yard off of Pine Mill the other morning, on Saturday or Sunday, whatever one it was. It happens. A little squirrel or a dead dog or something like that that's been obliterated on the side of the road, you know, it happens. Is it something we enjoy doing? No. But it's part of it.
Well, we've even done it on day shift before because the animal control officer was tied up on something else. It was just part of it.
If we've got a department head, excuse me, that's wanting to make a change in his department, I don't think any other department head should have a problem with it.
I don't either.
It's his department.
That's right.
And let him run it.
Yes, that's the way.
That's the way I see it, and that's how I think it ought to be.
I do too.
Whether it's in a park
As long as he's
or anywhere, as long as he can run his department, he should be able to do it.
It's clarification.
No, that's my
Nobody
saying.
has a problem with anything.
And when he hires a police officer,
He
that's going
gave
to
me
be part of the job
clarification in his
description.
job description. I think we ought to leave it like it is. He wrote it, so that's what he wants, that's what he gets.
Let me ask one question here, and I'm just now thinking about this when necessary. If I'm a police officer for Chief Burge, and he tells me, you got to call, you got to go down there and pick up that dead raccoon at the Parks Department or at the park, and I read the policy manual and I said, I don't think that's necessary. Can he then discipline me because of that?
Well,
It's not necessary.
If I told him to do it and he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
that's right.
And according to this, you would have signed that whenever you got hired on.
Because it says, at
Stating
the
it.
very top under job summary, it says perform other related work as required.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's all the time something, hey, was it anywhere in our job description during the ice storm to be pushing brush off the side of the road? No, but we all did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, because of the ice storm last year, it's in there. But I mean, you can't, like you said, you can't cover everything in a document or it'll be as big as this building. And I don't think y'all are paying me enough to draw up that document.
Might take a while.
It might take a while. Might be some overtime involved. I'm willing to do whatever. I just want to make sure the governing body is happy with what I'm doing. I don't see this as a problem because every officer I work with in the police department now has done animal control before or code enforcement to some extent. What this is doing is adding an officer, improving coverage for the city, providing a more consistent coverage for the city, and making our officers more efficient versus having 4 guys and you can't cover 24 hours a day, and then have another guy that can only work 8 to 5, picking up dead animals, working animal control, and talking to people about tall grass and brush. Yeah, we can do all that.
Chief, let me ask you, in the job description, you put works with local veterinarian. What does that encompass?
We contract with Animal Health Center, Watercraft's veterinary, about Woodall Field, and right now we work with them about if we capture or impound an animal, we take it up there.
Yes.
They house it for us for up to 5 days, and they take care of that end of it.
So that's what you mean as far as works with?
They act as our shelter in a very basic sense.
Specifically as a shelter?
In a very basic sense, because there's some things they don't do like a shelter does, like quarantines. He will not take quarantine animals.
Okay.
We have to take those to animal shelter.
We, for lack of a better description, we beat this old horse to death a number of times.
Yeah, again.
We, as far
All right.
as the public safety officer, the code enforcement, using those resources to put another officer on the street. So, do we have on this job description, do we have on item 8E?
I'll make a motion, we accept the revised job descriptions for the Reno Police Department as described by Chief Birch.
We have a motion by Councilman McCarthy, a second by Councilman Cooper. Any other discussion? If not, All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Item 8F, city employee hiring practices before July 1, 2014 and after October 14, 2014, including applications, references, background checks, and screening. And I am confused as to what this is.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I asked for that item to be put on here. I don't understand the gap in July 1 to October the 14th, but I would like to know what hiring practices we use to hire or screen city employees before we hire.
Between these two dates, Councilman, or since?
Or in general?
Before, or in general. I mean, I don't know what other gaps in there, but in general, how do we, I mean, what's our hiring practice?
City Secretary.
Hiring practice as in how do we advertise for it, what questions, who do we get?
I know we use some hiring partners. Are they screened or do they go through our process?
They are screened before the July 1st. That was relied on more of their screening. After October 14th, we're doing more screening than just relying, putting all of our faith in their screening.
So we wasn't screening anybody prior to July 1st?
We were doing, calling references, looking at their criminal, some but not. We relied on theirs because they do a criminal history check and a driving record before they come out. And then they work at least 3 months here under them, and then we interview them before they're hired from there. But then when they were coming on, when we hired them on, we weren't doing like a second interview. We were still running their driver's license, doing a drug test, but not doing a whole lot of screening. We're relying on them a lot more.
Do we, how do we do our background checks on them?
We really, depending on the position, you can't do a whole lot. You do the local, but that's it. It's depending on the position. Because I know in the police department, they can do a whole, that's a whole different situation than what we're allowed to do. And so we follow the state guidelines, the state of Texas guidelines on what we can do and cannot do, and the legal questions we can ask and cannot ask.
Can we do like that L1 enrollment services?
Which is what?
They do a background check, I mean, for companies and stuff. I mean, we pay for it, but I mean, it's a full background check.
So that's once a job is,
I guess once you would make them a conditional job offer, you send them down there, or we'll pay for it, or, you know, some companies let them pay for their own background check. And once you get the results, then you could, you know, you will get a job offer.
Here's my understanding of what you can, and there are really, and it changes, it seems every year, but on an employment application, the only criminal question you can ask is, do you have a felony conviction?
Misdemeanors don't.
They don't count, unfortunately, they just don't. Then, if there's a driving specific related component to the job and you offer them a job, then you can get their driving information. But that's the reason, if you looked at that stuff that Kara emailed out, that's the reason my wife calls them those good old questions that you ask, because if somebody tells you that stuff in an interview, that's a lot different than you saying, well, are you married, and how old are you, and how many kids do you have, and where do you go to church? You can't ask those questions. I mean, you can, but EEOC is going to come knock on your door if that person gets mad about it. But in the course of conversations, you may get that out. If you just ask somebody like, hey, what brings you to Paris, or what brings you to Reno, and is there anything that might be keeping you from working this shift? They'll tell you that stuff. So it's more of an art than it is a science right now. It really is. But after you get them on, if there is a job-related specific issue that you need to check out, like driver's license, then you can get that information from them and check it.
Yeah, because we run the driving history, because all employees are going to end up at one time or another driving the city vehicle, and that's in our safety manual and in the policy. We do that annually, and we do it before they're hired.
And that's contingent upon their offer? I mean, if they got a bad driving record.
Before. I mean, we get a driving record from, if we're using a hiring firm, we get a driving record and a criminal from them that they run. before. I mean, that comes out with them when we interview them to begin with, while they're still working for that other agency. We've already seen their driving record, but we haven't ran it yet. Then when we offer the job, then we run the record, and they have to do a pre-employment drug screen again for us.
But as far as the background, we don't do that
We haven't.
yet.
Not
I mean,
yet,
that's
but
what I'm asking, if some kind of service like it, could we?
You could ask
everybody.
people, you could get their data and what data they give you, because see, they really don't even have to give you their birthday, and they don't have to give you a social security number. So you could run a felony conviction check by name and find out.
But can we make it a condition of employment here?
I think we ought to be able to somehow offer, say, you will have this job contingent on the results of this
Your background
check. Would you sign off on this, and we can do, and, I mean, we need to check into.
And I don't think the employer gets any of that data, their personal data. I think they have to give it all to them to do the background, and they do it all, fingerprints.
Because see, I know that there's certain, like when you work at pharmacies or daycare.
Schools.
Yes.
And
that's what's harder, because the government wants to have jobs out there for the people that do have some history that aren't going to be, so that's what you got to find out for sure, what jobs we can do that. But if we can do that,
in light of this last situation that we had, I think it would be beneficial for the citizens to, at least the people we employ, because we've had problems with some of the few last employees we've had because this wasn't done.
We've had employees over the years in every department that has, that we've had issues with.
That work for the city of Reno. Now I'm trying to fix that.
I know, and I'm all for it. I think we need to find out what we can't, So I'll check into it and find out what we can.
I'll give you the information on it. I think they just changed the name, but it's on Collegiate right next to, hey Matt, what's the name of that donut place on Collegiate?
That's just wrong.
Across the K-Holiday, isn't it?
No,
Yeah, it's the one in your quick dial.
Daylight Donuts.
Okay.
It's like right next door to
I
that.
think that'd be great if I could find somebody to do that, but
Well, I've talked to Kara about, I kind of like the idea, even if somebody's a temporary help and you're thinking about, or they're on probation, coming back in before they get that permanent job and having them run through the process again, and then say if they at least tell me the same story.
Well,
both times.
I think they should go through the whole hiring process as we do for
A second interview at the end of before they're hired.
in
Before they get the
hindsight, in
permanent job.
2020, I've also figured out that if you would talk to the people that are working with them every day, that's worked with them, and pull them all in, that's been there for 7 months, and see if they have any concerns or issues, would be and that wasn't. And so I've learned, that's a hindsight.
Yeah.
I found out afterwards that would be really good.
We just need to break the
Use
cycle.
everything. Yes.
I mean, that's why I had this put on there, because I knew of that place on Collegiate, and I knew some of the stuff we can't ask, but I think they can. And we can make the job
Good.
And then we do the job offer. Yeah, I
upon
think once you do the
a
job.
successful background.
I have the name
completion
of that
check.
company in here somewhere.
Is it Moto Trust?
Lady
or-
just asked me about it.
Oh, really?
This is just discussion, so we no motion on this.
Yeah, no.
Okay, no action.
Motion, no action, then on
Because I
this.
got direction,
Yeah, no, I don't know any action we can take on, other than, I'll email you that contact information, and they're local, and they're here, and now, I guess we can do it later as to who pays for it, we can have another meeting.
I'll get the information and stuff, we can bring it back and find out, what it's gonna be.
All right, that'd be good. Thank you, Joey. Item 8G, employment of additional police officers, status of recruiting, applications, interviews, and employment. Chief Birch.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that's another item that I had placed on there, and basically all I was looking for is, I just still hadn't seen a fifth officer, just wanted to know the status of it.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, after this is all
Good
done,
point.
get one posted.
Good
That's the
deal.
plan.
Okay.
And maybe during Christmas, we'll see some broke people out there that want a job.
After Christmas, you mean?
Well, after Christmas too, but while they're trying to do some shopping, maybe they'll realize, hey, I'd get a job. If we can get it posted that quick.
I was just wondering, I Tired of
That's,
seeing it.
yeah, it was just waiting on the city red tape stuff, get it all done and finalized, and position added to the policy.
Chief, let me ask you, you have applications
No, I haven't posted anything.
and posted in.
I've got some reserve applications that I haven't really looked at. They trickle in from that now and then. Some of them will be reserved.
Okay.
I'm always skeptical of somebody that wants to be a police for free, so I've got some of those. It's true. I'm sorry. There's people out there that will, but I scratch my head every day while there is. But
You get to carry it into Walmart.
just being honest about it. But I've got some of those, but I haven't really looked at them very close. If I remember the names, if that tells you anything, if I remember the names, two of them, they may be interested in a full-time job. I don't know. Most of them, if I remember right, most of the ones that applied for a reserve spot are already working full-time elsewhere.
Some of them were going the other way too, weren't they? There's a couple of them.
No, they're fairly semi-local. I'll call it that. Driving distance. But no, I really haven't got anything. It would be a post and see what I get.
I understand that we need to do a little housekeeping before you really could proceed, so we've done it, so. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the Parks and Recreation, is there? Okay. Item 8H, creating a Parks and Recreation Committee.
Once again, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that's another one of my agenda items I request to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
What I just like and to see is us having just a committee to bring new ideas, for our parks, our trail, so we can start getting some new stuff, new equipment. We can start looking at for next budget year, new restrooms, maybe building a pavilion over there or some kind of committee.
Community Center?
A community center, amen, thank you. That would explore that stuff and, let's start doing some stuff.
Do you have anybody in mind that wants to head that?
No,
Absolutely
absolutely not.
Since you put that on there.
You put it on here.
I would love
Well,
to be
good.
part of that.
That's what put them on the list.
No, but I'll give you and you can talk to her.
Oh, I will.
If he's on the committee, he can make sure
No,
it's
I'm
not
not
a
on the
police officer's
committee.
We had the
responsibility to
committee
pick
and we
up.
kind of had a few people out there, and then once Ruth resigned off of it, it just,
Yeah.
there's no outside, we need some citizen.
Exactly, exactly. I agree wholeheartedly.
I don't know how, but I have somebody that's bored that maybe.
I would love to help with that. I would love to help with that.
There you go.
There's a liaison person right there. Exactly.
Love to.
I have to start, put her name on the list.
We got this.
All right.
I'll give you the name.
But yeah, I mean, I've been, some kind of entry signs, maybe they could explore that. Something, put a mark on this town instead of just a little metal sign out here by the side of
Because
the
we
road.
have money in the trail committee bank, that's uptown, that there's money because there was a trail committee and the money that was raised off the benches and off other things, and it's still here.
How
We
much?
just couldn't get anybody. We're having meetings and it's the mayor and myself and Jerry show up and we're like,
Can we get
can we get people involved?
Can we get that balance next meeting or something?
Yeah, do you know what the balance is?
It's, I think 3,000 or something. I mean, it's not.
Well, I mean,
Hey, that's a start.
That's still 3,000.
That's a start.
Restaurant.
Sure is. Sure is.
It'll buy some soap.
At the start of a budget right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to be part of that.
So that is something that's would be a real positive for our citizens and our community as a whole. Certainly the park.
For a long time.
Yeah, Gary Brown.
Yeah, we need to get back with him because he was real active for a long time and then he just kind of fell apart.
So, on item 8H, no action taken, but I think we've got action moving, action started. So, item 8I, distribution of police schedule, why, when, and to whom. Let me say, I think that this may be an item, an issue, that we might find necessary to retire to executive session. And I'm going to defer to the city attorney just with that thought and see if he has any thing to say about that.
And I really appreciate that. If this is a personnel issue, then you can. If it's not a personnel issue, then you can't. So,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll interject. That's another one of my item agendas request.
Busy.
Yeah. And it's well before Wednesday too, so.
Oh, yeah, it was a month. It was a month of today.
I thought I know we discussed this back a couple of months ago, and then next thing I know, I'm getting another copy of it, and I was wondering if it was, why? Like, the first item, I've been on that side of it, and I think it's a public safety issue to have that floating around. That's what I said last time. We stopped getting them, but why are we getting them again?
The reason we're getting them again is at a staff meeting, was it last month?
2 months ago.
2 months ago. October, late October, Chief? The mayor had asked, and had previously done so on another occasion or two, for a police schedule. And he requested it again at that staff meeting of the chief. I said, I put in my opinion, I felt like that he and the city secretary ought to have the schedule. And so from that meeting, after that meeting, the chief sent the schedule out to everyone on council.
And Jerry.
And Jerry. And so that's where we're at with the schedule being distributed. Prior to that, the reason the chief said that he did not want to distribute the schedule was because he considered it a matter of a safety issue, as you said. So that's where we're at.
Okay, so when they talk to the mayor, find out why he would want a copy of the schedule. Which I don't see a problem with it. If it's posted here,
Well, it could just be something to keep in-house.
Yeah.
That was
I
the
think
point.
that's really where it should be kept.
And Chief, go ahead and come to the podium there. The point was just for information for those in a need-to-know situation, namely the mayor, the city secretary, and I asked for one as well. And I don't know, Levy, that was it, wasn't it, as far as those getting a schedule?
Well, the front office, because
the front office. That's right, the front office having a schedule.
Nice, but
If I could address the council.
Yes, sir.
When the schedule was requested, I made the decision because I resisted when it came up because I don't like the idea of giving it to people that are non-opposed. I just don't.
I'm blaming.
And there's reasons for that. When it came up, we had a meeting in the executive room that one morning. I had to leave in the middle of it to go to a call. I just, Uncle, hey, if it's going to be this big of an issue, I'll give you a schedule. There were some questions about who should have it. So the mayor asked me the next couple days, whenever it was, why I said it to everybody. And I'm like, well, I said it to everybody because I want to make sure everybody had a copy of it so that way there was no feelings hurt. Okay? It's like one of those things. Give it to one, give it to everybody that's involved up here. That's kind of the way I thought of it. I wasn't trying to step on any toes or anything like that.
I just want to make sure everybody got a copy of it that might have wanted it. The reasons why I don't think it needs to be put anywhere other than amongst police is because, like Joey said, it's a public safety issue when you're a small department like ours, and we struggle to cover as much as we possibly can. It just is. And giving it to 1 or 2 or 3 people is the same thing, in my opinion, as giving it to 10. You don't tell people what you're doing. If you don't want something out, you don't tell anybody. Okay.
See, I just want to say, I don't know how giving it to 2 or 3 people can be the same as giving it to 10.
Because it is.
When in a need-to-know situation at City Hall.
But
I really don't.
Here's my problem with everybody up here need to know when we're working. Everybody knows when I'm working, 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. When I'm not going to be here, everybody knows about it. Y'all may not know about it, but Kara knows about it and the mayor knows about it. Okay? If she knows about it, her girl should know about it. Jerry should know about it. Okay? The big problem is like I started to allude that morning before we got interrupted with the call I had to go to. The big problem we have here with the police department in the city of Reno is there's a lot of people that still, the department's been started since '98, still don't know how to call the police in Reno. And that's fundamentally wrong. When you're paying taxes,
I agree with that.
People should know how to call police, call one number, and get somebody, hopefully on duty, alert and prepared and ready to respond to whatever problem they got. Whatever it is. That's the big problem. We got cell phone numbers floating around out there. We've got this number floating around. Well, should I call the sheriff's department? I don't know if Reno's on duty. That's wrong. That is wrong by all stretches of the imagination. People should call one number, get the police department. It's either non-emergency number for Reno PD or 911. Period. Information control. The public safety issue is part of having the schedule out there. If you give it to 1 or 2 or 3, you might as well give it to 5 or 10 or 15. Because inevitably, and I don't think anybody up here would see anything malicious. Inevitably, if that schedule is posted up front, somebody is going to call and say, hey, I need to talk to Officer so-and-so. When does he work next? Well, he works tonight. He gets off at 4 in the morning. He won't be here again until Thursday. That doesn't need to be out. Period. It does not. I've gotten more intelligence bulletins from the FBI lately about threats against officers in the military than I have in my entire career.
We've got them.
And we get them all the time. People want to do, hey, saw you the other day with your family. Really? You were paying that much attention? I don't know if I like that. That happens often in my profession. Very, very often. And we all, behind those closed doors, we all take that very, very seriously. Because we don't know what their intentions are. We don't. This is the first office I've ever had. That had an office job at Paris for 5 years. I couldn't even put my pictures of my family in because of the clientele that often walked through my office. Did not want them knowing I even had a kid. Did not. That's the kind of stuff that will eventually happen. Do I think it'd be malicious intent? No. If you want to control information, you control the information from the point it's distributed. You don't distribute it to everybody. If someone wants to know who's working, I will gladly tell them up here, hey, I'm on duty, going to a meeting at Pleasant at 1 o'clock, Jeremy's got the reins, whoever it is. I'm glad to tell you. But to distribute a month or so, because I've been thinking about actually trying to get a multiple month schedule out there so the guys can make better plans for their families. That doesn't need to be out. I just completely disagree with it.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, non-law enforcement personnel does not, in my humble opinion, need a copy of that schedule. If they need to know front office, who's working, they can forward that information to you. You'll be more than happy, I'm sure, to call them back or take the call.
Well, that's the deal. I'm always here 8 to 5 Monday to Friday during business hours.
Let me ask from somebody that's here, in the front office, he's supervisor of apply Kara in the background, because this is where this came from to a certain extent in that staff meeting, as far as it wasn't, I mean, the mayor wanted a copy of the schedule, but also there's a reason for the front office. What is it?
Well, the front office is the main, that they answer the phone, but we can work without it, because we can tell them to hang up and call the police number, which isn't very good customer service, and it isn't the front. And you don't want to say to the people when they call in, we don't know who's on duty, just, you know, because there's times, yeah, Matt's here, but he's back there on the phone, or he's out on a call, and we know he's out, and we know we can transfer it back to the line. Well, they've transferred back to a line because they thought the police officer was on because he normally works that schedule, then come to find out he wasn't on, so that call didn't get answered for 2 days when he came back.
How many of those calls you get a week?
What?
How many of those calls you get a week
For the
asking
police
who's working?
department?
No, asking who's working.
Nobody asks who's working. We don't tell who's working.
Okay, so what do you...
want to talk to an officer, and there isn't an officer here, so we cannot transfer our phone to the main line. We could get a new system or a different system somehow.
I think it could be adjusted.
Updated to do it, but if because they transfer the PD line to whoever's taking it.
Our main line, 75-1744, to a cell phone, 24.
Which is dangerous as well.
Which is dangerous, but it's the best way I can come around doing it without spending a boatload of money.
And that's what ours, if we could transfer it to that number, if they called on City Line 1, we could transfer it to that number. It would automatically, if he's on a call, it would go to voicemail. He would know they called. He'd go back. We can't do that right now with the system we have. We can transfer it to a cell phone, but if we don't know what officer's cell phone to transfer it to,
and that's
but if we just do
and that's what I'm saying, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, give it to me.
And if you would let us know in the morning who's going to be here,
if I'm not
then that would be
if I'm
great.
heading out of town, I'll let you know. And I told Trish that the other day when they said, send it to me, send them all to me. That way there's no question. You don't have to worry about it. If I'm not here, y'all are going to know about it. That's the whole thing.
And we always like knowing if there's somebody, if somebody comes on, what if somebody comes in the front door with something and we're like looking at each other, I don't know who's working, we don't know who's here, you know, we don't know what's going.
So would it be better if...
We get the calls all the time, excuse me, I'm sorry. We get the calls all the time from municipal court. People want to call the police and pay a ticket.
Yeah.
You know, that is not our department. So I'll just, hey, all the time, this is a number you need to call. Call this number and go straight to municipal
And we
court,
can
City
work
Hall,
with that.
785-6581. I have not heard, and that's multiple times a day, I have not heard one boo-hoo hiss about that at all.
Well, I think somebody getting charged in the hold of the police is more important than the court, in my eye.
It is. Usually it is.
Where the schedule is concerned, though, we still have an issue that the supervisor asked for the schedule.
Who?
The mayor.
And let me just add, that is different than it's ever been in my relationship with this city. When the policy manual was changed and it was adopted, there was one little place that I can find, and it's back in the job descriptions, where the mayor is made the immediate supervisor, or whatever that means, of the chief of police. Now, when that data got to me, I said, okay. So I asked lawyers who do this a lot more often than I do, what happens here? And the way it appears, the status of our policy is right now, if the mayor is the supervisor of the chief, the mayor can ask, as his supervisor, to get a copy of that schedule. Now, if the mayor acts out with it, you guys need to get on to the mayor. But that's the way it's set up right now, and I didn't write it, and I just found out about it just here recently.
Well, and that policy, the new policy manual, although approved in May, wasn't distributed to the employees until a month ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm just talking about what's going on right now, and look, you're talking to the guy who appreciates the public safety aspect of this, and I have told people who would listen, if this is a management issue where we're concerned about coverage and who's here and who's not, it ought to be approached as a management issue. It ought to be, somebody ought to call, if you're the supervisor, say, I'm concerned about how things are being scheduled, let's get it done. If it's an equipment issue, it ought to be approached as an equipment issue. But right now, the status of the Reno policy is, because the way it was before, if anybody on the city council asked for one, you had to cough it up. Yeah. You had to, because that was who the supervisor was.
And that's why I give it to everybody. That way I know everybody that might have had a vested interest in getting a copy of that schedule got it. Because I didn't want to leave somebody out.
You've got a
Well,
pretty,
so-and-so got a copy. How come I didn't get a copy?
But you didn't want to give it to anybody.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit.
So,
And you've got a pretty hot schedule. Everybody wants a copy of it. So, I mean, I don't understand that.
I think the mayor is a supervisor, and he should send one copy to the mayor.
1 second, I'm sorry, it just quit. I'm sorry.
All right, I think that the mayor's a supervisor, and you should send one copy to the mayor, and he can distribute to whoever he wants to distribute, and then he'll be held responsible if something happens.
And I told him when all this come up that I would be happy to give him a copy of the schedule. But I also know he's going to distribute it to everybody he wanted to.
Well, he's responsible if something happens to one of the policemen.
It's a tough one right now.
How is that? I mean, I hear what you're saying. How would you envision that?
Because he's supposed to be the only one to have a copy of it.
It is a tough one, and something that comes to mind, especially right now. There is a tremendous threat on law enforcement right now.
And there always is. Right now it's in the news a lot.
Yeah, it seems to be growing from what I've read. That's a tough one.
Would it help if whoever's working, if they'll just come up and let the girls know up front, or you,
let us know
to
who's
know
on
who's here?
Yeah, because we don't want anybody to know, but I think it's would be kind of if somebody's checking in and they call up and we say, we don't know who's on duty, that kind of makes it sound even,
Well, yeah.
you know.
And if something happens,
If we know there's an officer
I'm
on
not going to
duty.
be in there at 8 o'clock, I'll probably be calling your buddy and your buddy.
But we'll say there's an officer on duty, let's see if we, and then direct them where we need to direct them. We don't say who's on or what or who or.
Well, if the chief's on duty 8 to 5, then you know what officer's on duty.
That's right.
Because you're here 8 to 5.
Very simple.
Yes,
Yes, you do.
The sergeant would be.
Yes,
and that's
sir.
it, well, that's it, and sometimes, because the sergeant usually. See, yeah, that's what usually, and that's what happened.
this is why it should have been an executive session.
Point
That's
made.
right, that's
Point
right.
made.
And that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah, because we're sitting here
it's
talking
going to
about it.
happen because you're going to get busy, you're going to get that phone call. It happened at my old employer. You know, and we used to get highly upset at people when that got
And I'm fine, I don't need it, I mean, I'm not throwing them across, I'd just like to know who's on duty. If there's somebody here, other than, I mean.
Let me just suggest this. Let me suggest, hold on.
No, it isn't.
If we're going to talk about public safety, and it really is an issue, we need to go back in that room back there, so we don't have happen what just happened here.
That's right.
But that is our legitimate concern.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think you got a public safety issue here right now. I think you got who gets the schedule, and why do they get it? And then if it becomes a public safety issue later on, then it's a public safety issue. Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a who gets the schedule, why do they get it, and when do they get it?
Well said.
Okay, now,
I just asked why.
there's a when and a
I
who.
didn't ask.
To whom is
See, I got it circled. I didn't
correct
ask.
Correct English. To whom? And so I think that's our issue right now.
Exactly right.
And then if it gets to be something else, if it's a management issue, if it's a personnel issue, it's a safety issue, we need to do this another way or handle it like that and be upfront about what it is. Just be upfront.
Are we in, I agree, Counselor. Absolutely, good point made. We're in agreement then that the mayor being the supervisor, and if we don't want him to be the supervisor, then we need to go back to the policy manual. But as it's written and the way it's interpreted, and that the mayor is the supervisor on a daily basis, and he's asked for the schedule, are we in agreement that he has a right to get the schedule from the police chief?
Yes.
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 And that was, and I told him a month ago, I didn't have a problem with him having it, but I knew he was going to give it to everybody that asked for it. And
Well
I had a
then,
problem
Chief,
with that.
you should have allowed
I agree
that to
with
be
that, too.
his decision, and you made, instead of you making it and giving it to everybody.
I may have.
Okay. Okay, do we need to vote on this?
I think that if you
Yes.
want to do, yes, to make
Okay,
it.
all right. Councilman Cooper, do you have a motion?
I don't think it needs to be voted on.
Well, I think it looks, this issue has been bubbling around here for a long time.
Oh, okay.
For a long time. And I think, even though we say, hey, look, that appears to be what the council wanted to have happen when it changed that policy, even though it's just in that one little place and you have to know where you're going to go to get to it, it's in there. And so if that's the case, you can reaffirm that's our position, that the mayor is the immediate supervisor of the chief, and as so, he would have a right to ask for the schedule and get it.
All right.
And then that's it.
Right. I'll make a motion that since the mayor requested a schedule from the chief of police, that the chief send one schedule to the mayor.
We have a motion by Councilman Cooper. I'll second it. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Nay.
I'm undecided.
Do you want to abstain? Amanda?
Right now, I'm opposed because I think we need more to it. I don't feel comfortable making a
All right.
yes or no answer right now.
Motion fails, 3-2 opposed. I do want to say, I think we have issues here when a supervisor asks an employee, department head or employee, for something as vital as a schedule, and that supervisor is denied that. I think we have an issue.
I think discussion's closed.
That's
isn't
why
it?
I have a difficult time with it.
Discussion is
because-
closed, isn't it?
Sir?
Item. In the discussion on this item closed.
Well, I said what I had to say. I've seen it done here before, many times.
But I can't explain the reason I had difficulty with the decision.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
Is that okay?
It's fine.
A supervisor having a copy of the schedule, I don't really have a problem with that part, but I don't feel comfortable that he can give it to anybody that asks for it. I think there should be some way to take care of that because it is a safety issue.
I don't think it would be anybody asked for, it would be anybody that he decided to, but I don't know. if-
Right, but it'll be his decision on who it goes to, and that's my concern, because if he wanted to, right now, there's nothing stopping him from giving it to, not saying he would, I'm just saying we have nothing covering that, so it's not just cut and dry for me there.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
now, since we're all here collectively, I hope you think about what this has done to the city policy. Because if somebody asks me, I can't tell you. So,
So you're talking about a revision?
That's right.
I don't know whether you revoked it, revised it, redid it. It's not here.
Well, the integrity's gone.
It's not that. It's just procedurally, what has happened is the city council voted that the supervisor can't have a copy of the policy. What does that mean? Are there ramifications of that other than
That's right.
you just can't have that deal? And I don't know.
I think
That's why I was uncomfortable with the vote, because
it's
there's
good.
more to it than just what we voted on.
Good point made.
But we're only talking about a schedule. He can't have a schedule, it don't mean he's not a duty supervisor.
I don't know what it means. I think somebody needs to try to.
Yeah, well, our supervisors can't ask for a schedule. City's in trouble.
I just think there should be something on who it can go to from there.
Call me and ask me this year. And I just want to counsel. I can't say. I don't know.
That's why I put problem stuff on.
Oh, we can put it on the agenda for next month.
And if we don't have these kind of discussions, and get it out, it's over.
It's over.
It'll be on next month.
Yeah, I'll put it on the agenda
Okay.
for next month.
I just want you to know when you told me.
You want longer?
I was just telling Kara to put it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
Okay. It's such thing as the integrity of the policy manual is issue here, I think. Let me go back. Item 8J, litigation of contract and extension contract of November 11, 2003 with Lamar County Water Supply. And
Do you want to do the consent items in case there's anybody else that goes?
okay, yeah, let's go to the consent items. 9, and we'll come back to item 8J. Item 9, consent items 9A through C, and then subsections 1, 2, 3. We do have on A an invoice from AdCom Systems in the amount of $3,132 for the annual remote support services, and this is over the spending limit. This is why this needs to be voted on. Everybody understand what annual remote support services is? Nope.
AdCom is the kiosk.
Not a clue.
AdCom is the kiosk.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Why is this over this time?
It's not over. The department has a spending limit of $1,500, so it's budgeted, but you can't spend anything without council approval over $1,500, so that's why it's on there. If you look, you'll see in there the check's been written, but it hasn't been sent.
Okay.
Waiting on, but it's budgeted funds that are in there.
Right, okay.
Okay, we can do all these in one motion if everyone's in agreement.
I make a motion, we approve consent items A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3.
We have a motion by Councilman Cooper.
I second.
We have a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Going back to item 8J, litigation contract and extension contract for November 11, 2003 with Lamar County Water Supply. If there's no objection, we'll retire to executive session. We'll return to open session at 7:56 p.m. Item 8J, no action taken. And there's no action taken, and that finishes the items on the agenda. Item 10, we are adjourned.